The notification popped up on my screen, a harmless-looking automated email, lead reassignment confirmation. My heart sank as I scrolled through the list. 3 of my prime sales leads, contacts I had cultivated for months, nurtured from cold calls to warm prospects, were no longer in my pipeline. Instead, they were marked reassigned to Mark Dalton. A jolt of ice shot through me. This wasn't a system glitch. This was a direct, calculated theft. Mark Dalton, my supposed colleague, the new sales hotshot, had just stolen my most valuable assets. My stomach churned with a mixture of disbelief and a burning, visceral betrayal. These weren't just names on a list, they were relationships I had meticulously built, hours of research, personalized outreach, and a genuine understanding of their businesses. To see them simply yanked away, without a word, without an explanation, felt like a violation. In the cutthroat world of corporate sales, leads were gold, and Mark had just committed grand larceny. But as the initial shock wore off, a different feeling began to settle in, a quiet, resolute confidence. Mark had the list, but he didn't have what truly mattered. He didn't have my secret. For me, sales was never just about closing a deal. It was an art, a delicate dance of building trust and understanding. My philosophy was simple, yet seemingly radical in our target-driven environment: listen first, sell second, while other reps were cold calling 100 names a day, pushing generic product pitches. I was poring over industry reports, researching company pain points, and crafting personalized outreach strategies. My average conversion rate was higher, my client retention unparalleled, and my deals consistently generated larger, long-term revenue. I invested weeks, sometimes months, in a single lead, learning their business inside out, anticipating their needs before they even articulated them. I knew their industry challenges, their market positions, even the names of their children if they casually mentioned them. My secret wasn't a hidden trick, it was the depth of my empathy, the genuine connection I forged, and my unwavering commitment to providing solutions, not just products. I remembered the time I spent 2 months helping a prospect, TechFlow Innovations, completely reevaluate their internal software infrastructure, even before they officially became a client. I connected them with industry experts, provided market insights, and basically acted as an unpaid consultant. When they finally signed, it was a multi-year, multi-million-dollar contract, and they specifically cited my unmatched understanding as the deciding factor. Other reps, like Mark, would scoff at such an investment of time. Mark was the epitome of the churn and burn sales approach. He was all flash and no substance, a master of aggressive cold calls and high-pressure tactics. He lived for the quick win, the immediate commission, rarely investing in the long-term relationships that truly sustained a business. He'd brag about hitting his numbers by sheer volume, oblivious to the high churn rate that followed his sales. He saw leads as mere entries in a CRM, ripe for the picking, easily transferable. He didn't understand that for me, a lead was a seed, carefully watered and nurtured into a thriving relationship. And now, he had just tried to uproot 3 of my most promising saplings. Mark's initial takeover of my stolen leads was, predictably, full of bluster. He strutted around the office, boasting about his accelerated pipeline, hinting at quick closes on my prospects. He even gave me a condescending pat on the back. "Don't worry, Celine," he'd said with a smirk, "I'll make sure these turn into something. Some leads just need a little push." The irony was painful. He believed a sales list was a finite resource, something to be exploited, not cultivated. He thought my slow approach meant I wasn't closing, rather than building an unshakable foundation. I watched, quietly. The first sign of trouble came a week later. The initial meeting with my prospect, Quantum Logistics, was rescheduled, then postponed, then finally, quietly, slipped off the calendar altogether. Mark mumbled something about client indecision. I knew better. Quantum Logistics needed a partner, not a pushy salesperson. They needed someone who understood their complex, global supply chain challenges, not just a generic pitch deck. Then came the calls. My former leads, now Mark's prospects, began making discreet inquiries to me, through indirect channels. "Celine, I hope you don't mind, but I received a call from someone else at your company regarding our project." He seemed less informed about our specific needs. "Are you still available?" These were veiled questions, subtle probes, testing the waters. I responded professionally, maintaining strict company lines, but my tone conveyed my continued commitment to genuine problem-solving. Mark's struggles escalated. Deals stalled. Prospects grew cold. His quick wins turned into protracted negotiations, then outright rejections. He grew increasingly agitated, his booming voice replaced by strained whispers. He started blaming the leads themselves, claiming they were unqualified or not ready to buy. He even tried to subtly shift blame to me in team meetings. I think some of these leads Celine had were maybe too early stage. We need to focus on hotter prospects. He was trying to rewrite the narrative, to deflect from his own inability to connect. But I knew, and the clients were beginning to learn, that the problem wasn't the lead, it was the superficial approach of the person handling it. The injustice was festering, but so was the opportunity for its undeniable correction. My response to Mark's brazen theft wasn't a furious confrontation, but a strategic withdrawal. I knew the truth about my leads. They were built on a foundation of trust and understanding, not just a name and a phone number. Mark could steal the contact information, but he couldn't steal the relationship, the rapport, or the nuanced understanding I had cultivated. So, I let him fail. I kept my silence, focusing meticulously on my other leads, continuing my relationship-first approach, knowing that my reputation was my most unstealable asset. I subtly ensured my continued visibility and positive standing within the company. I volunteered for internal training sessions, shared insights with junior colleagues, and maintained excellent relationships with other departments. I made myself the obvious point of comparison, the clear alternative, without ever uttering a single complaint about Mark. I knew that these clients, having experienced my genuine, solution-oriented approach, would instinctively sense the difference with Mark's transactional style. They would notice the lack of deep listening, the generic pitches, the absence of the tailored insight they had come to expect. My planning involved a quiet, almost meditative process of anticipation. I knew which of my stolen leads were complex, which required a nuanced understanding of their specific industry, and which would quickly expose Mark's superficiality. I mentally prepared for the inevitable call, the desperate plea. I refined my pitch, not for these stolen leads specifically, but for my next set of clients, ready to demonstrate my unique value to anyone who sought it. I began discreetly networking with other companies in the industry, just in case. Not out of malice, but out of self-preservation and a growing awareness of my market worth. I was setting a silent trap, not for Mark to fall into, but for the company to realize the invaluable asset they had on their team, an asset that couldn't be quantified on a spreadsheet, an asset that couldn't be stolen. The stage was set for their self-correction, and I was ready to be the solution. The crisis arrived with a phone call so frantic, it could barely be understood. It was the sales director, his voice high-pitched with panic. Celine. Apex Innovations. They're pulling out. Mark completely botched the follow-up. They said he didn't understand their core needs and tried to push a generic solution. They're demanding to speak to you. Apex Innovations. One of my stolen leads. A multi-million-dollar prospect that Mark had confidently declared almost closed. The sales director's words were a vindication more potent than any direct confrontation could have been. The clients, the very people Mark had tried to exploit, had explicitly, unequivocally, demanded me. I arrived at the emergency meeting, a calm amidst the storm. Mark sat, pale and sweating, his usual bravado utterly evaporated. He stammered excuses, blaming Apex for unreasonable demands. But the moment Apex's CEO joined the video call, the truth became undeniable. Mr. Harrison, the CEO stated, his voice firm, we value your company, but our recent interactions have been deeply disappointing. Mr. Dalton clearly doesn't understand our business. We initiated discussions with Celine because she understood our vision. If Celine Patterson isn't handling our account, we're taking our business elsewhere. The air in the room was thick with tension. Mr. Harrison, our CEO, a man who rarely showed emotion, looked stunned. He glanced at Mark, then at me. Celine, he said, his voice laced with desperation, can you salvage this? I didn't gloat. I didn't remind them of the stolen leads. I simply nodded. Yes, Mr. Harrison. I believe I can. Apex Innovations requires a tailored solution, not a template. I've been cultivating that relationship for months, and I understand their precise needs. I then calmly, clearly, articulated the exact solutions Apex required, anticipating their questions, demonstrating a depth of knowledge that Mark couldn't even fathom. The Apex CEO's expression softened visibly. He saw the difference. Everyone did. The moment of reversal was complete. The stolen leads, once a testament to Mark's perceived cunning, had become the undeniable proof of his incompetence and my irreplaceable value. My secret wasn't a hidden trick, it was the unstealable quality of authentic relationship building. The fallout for Mark Dalton was swift and absolute. The client's direct feedback, combined with his abysmal performance on other stolen leads, painted an undeniable picture of incompetence. Within days, he was quietly let go, his brief, ignominious career at the company ending not with a bang, but with the whimper of a failed sales quota. The very sales culture that had enabled his theft ultimately devoured him. For me, the vindication was profound. Mr. Harrison, personally, offered a sincere apology. "Celine," he said, his voice contrite. "I saw the numbers, but I didn't see the depth of your work. You are invaluable to this company." He not only reinstated all my stolen leads, but promoted me to Director of Strategic Accounts, a newly created position with a higher salary, a dedicated team, and full autonomy over our most crucial client relationships. He understood that my secret wasn't just a sales tactic, but a core company asset. I accepted the role, not out of obligation, but because the company had finally recognized its true values. I restructured my division to prioritize long-term relationship building over quick commissions, fostering a culture of genuine client partnership. My success wasn't about winning a personal battle, it was about proving a fundamental truth. In a world obsessed with quick gains and superficial metrics, authentic connection and deep understanding are the only truly unstealable assets. This experience taught me that true worth can never be diminished by the actions of others. You can steal a list, but you cannot steal rapport. You can copy a pitch, but you cannot replicate empathy. The real revenge isn't about destroying those who wrong you, it's about building something so inherently valuable, so uniquely yours, that when chaos inevitably strikes, you are the only one who can bring order back. It's about letting your competence speak for itself, so loudly and clearly that even the most oblivious leaders cannot ignore it. If you've ever had your efforts minimized, your ideas stolen, or your worth overlooked, remember this: nurture your genuine connections, hone your craft, and let your unique value shine. Because when the time is right, your true clients will ask only for you. If this story resonated with you, if you've experienced the triumph of authenticity over superficiality, please hit that like button, share your own experiences in the comments below, and subscribe for more tales of integrity, resilience, and the undeniable power of building something truly unstealable.